Welcome to Bicycle Retail Radio, presented by the National Bicycle Dealers Association. This is where bicycle retailers, industry innovators, and advocates come together for real conversations about what's happening right now in bike retail, from cargo bikes to carbon fiber. Each episode explores the challenges you're facing, the opportunities ahead, and the people driving our industry forward. We go beyond the surface to uncover practical strategies, fresh perspectives, and authentic stories from shop owners who've been where you are. Whether you're navigating staffing challenges, adapting to market shifts, or looking for your next breakthrough idea, this is your community. Since 1946, the NBDA has been in the trenches with specialty bicycle retailers, providing education, advocacy, and connection when you need it most. Want to be a part of this community? Learn more about NBDA membership at nbda.com.
Look USA wants to earn your business. Look manufactures pedals for most any enthusiast cyclist. We have an unmatched 40 years experience designing and manufacturing pedals that connect you to your bike. Our pedal range spans $40 platform pedals to our flagship dual-sided power pedals. We make pedals for road or off-road use. We can be your primary pedal partner. Pedals have been our passion since day one. Look's boutique bike offerings are true works of art with purpose. Offer your riders something unique so that their dream bike isn't a clone of thousands of the same model from major brands. Stock and custom builds are available with real-time inventory visibility on our B2B. Email us at sales.usa@lookcycle.com. We would love to connect. Hey everyone, it's Frances, and I want to talk about community, specifically the Canadian bicycle retail community. For years, Canadian retailers have traveled to our US summits. You've told us you want something closer to home, something that speaks directly to your market. We hear you. The NBDA Retailer Summit Canada happens this year, July 29th and 30th, and it's built for you. Main stage sessions in the morning featuring Canadian retail leaders, interactive flow sessions in the afternoon where you problem solve with peers facing the same challenges. We're diving into what matters, exceeding customer expectations in the Canadian market, winning inventory strategies for your season, staff development, service center profitability, and the e-mobility opportunity in Canada. And here's what makes this extra special. Your distributors are already behind you. HLC, OGC, LTP, and Giant are supporting this summit because they're invested in your success. Visit nbda.com and register today. Summit Canada, this year, July 29th and 30th.
Hi, listeners. Welcome back to Bicycle Retail Radio. Thanks for being here. Today's conversation is one I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm talking today with mountain bike trials legend Martyn Ashton. We talk about his journey. We talk about RideAble Now, which everyone needs to get involved in and support. We talk about adaptive cycling, accessibility, and some tips for retailers as well. I really hope you enjoy the conversation. Martyn, welcome to Bicycle Retail Radio. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's lovely to be, it's nice being on the radio. I'm enjoying it already.
It's a fun thing. It's a great thing. Yeah, Bicycle Retail Radio. I love this platform. I love that I get to connect with interesting guests. And I think you and I connected months ago now in prep for talking about possibly coming to Bentonville Bike Fest, what your plans were there. And then we dove into this conversation just about RideAble Now and what you're doing with adaptive. And man, I am really looking forward to connecting today and getting into this conversation. So have you been riding? Have you been out and about? How's spring 2026 treating you?
Yeah, I've not been riding as much as I would like, I'll be honest, because I've launched RideAble Now, and it's an organization that needs a bit of attention at these initial months. So yeah, it's taken up a bit of my time, but in the best possible way, in an exciting way. But I would say it's cutting into my riding hours a little bit. But I think that'll ease off once I find my pattern, through the working day.
I definitely can understand what you're saying. We take on these projects, we put so much passion in, and it's okay to kind of let our riding go to the side as we focus on growing this, but then it kind of
Mm.
finds its way. Um, I'm sure several of our listeners are not familiar with your background. You're a legend in the trials world, and I know this because my brother was a bike trials rider, so I'm very familiar. You've created some of the most watched cycling films ever made. So if you don't mind, can you take us back to the beginning and what drew you to trials riding in the first place?
Oh, well, originally, I have to admit I was a motorcycle trials rider. That's my actual background. I I started riding motorcycle trials when I was about 11. I'm the youngest of three brothers, so I just followed my two older brothers into that
Oh, that's cool.
and loved it, and didn't really realize that push bike trials or was a thing. I rode motorbikes, and when I wasn't riding my motorbike, I would practice on my BMX, pretending it was a motorbike, literally making brum brum sounds, like riding around. And it wasn't until I was about 18 or 19, someone invited me along to a push bike competition. And I was like, oh, right, I didn't really know they did that in the UK, especially. I think I had an inkling that in Spain that there was a series that went around there, and um, yeah, and weirdly, I'd been getting really good at it without realizing, and I just went straight in at the top level, and I was riding the world championships maybe a month after starting. It
Oh
was
my.
it was a very steep learning angle, but I'd been riding it for years. I just didn't really, I hadn't been competing, and I didn't know. Yeah, and then that was very early 90s, and then mountain biking started to boom around the world, and then mountain biking started doing trials events. So the original trials events were on like 20-inch wheeled BMX size bikes, and I moved up from them onto a mountain bike. And I think the size of the bike just suited me better because I'd been riding motorbikes. I was just much more familiar with that slightly bigger wheel, and yeah, maybe my brum brum noises fitted better with mountain bikes than it did turning into bikes. I don't know. I got on really well in terms of results and exposure, and I'd have to say a lot of luck. I had a lot of luck in that. I didn't plan to end up where I was in terms of a professional bike riding career. I just
Kind of fell
just
into
did.
it. Kind of fell into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I just had a lot of luck. I'd have dreamt of it, and I would have wished for it, but I had no idea it was going to pay
One
off.
of those natural things you just fell into. I love how life does that to us sometimes.
Mm.
I mean, but Martyn, you went on to become a four-time British champion, a world champion. I mean, the accolades, a Guinness World Record holder. You raced for Team Velo Cannondale, founded Ashton Bikes, and toured the UK with Animal Show, right? Like for over a decade, right? Like
Yeah, I done a lot, and trial the role of a trials rider in the mountain biking world was right from the early days, but particularly because of Hans Ray.
hmm
He kind of set a bit of a template of what a trials rider would be for the cycling industry. It was a really great way of marketing a brand or a team.
Yeah.
So suddenly all the teams wanted a Hans Ray, and Volvo Cannondale had Libor Caris in the US, and I was kind of the European version, the European leg of the representation for Volvo Cannondale, and that was a massive team, and I was mad lucky to be part of that because that gave me so many opportunities because that team was just going to incredible places, and Volvo was a huge sponsor, a vehicle sponsor at that time was a big deal. And yeah, I had a wild ride on that team, but it gave me so much exposure, and that led to me being able to start my own bike company for a bit after I left Cannondale, because I'd had that kind of, in the UK especially, I'd had that kind of breakthrough.
It sounds like
And
you've always
yeah,
had that drive though. Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like you've always had that drive to do just a little bit something more. Like there's been projects that you want to take on, right? I mean,
yeah, I think so. I mean, I do always come back to good fortune a lot of the
yeah.
time. I would be very reluctant to say I planned a lot of it. What I would say, I guess, is that when opportunity has come along,
Grab it.
I've been really keen to take that opportunity and grab at it and go for it. And I am sort of one of those people that once I really want something, I'll really push and push for it. Sometimes at the expense of other things I should be doing. I've yeah. So like I feel like at 18 to still be thinking about just riding around on my mountain bike was, when it wasn't a career, was probably at the expense of probably a proper career I could have had. But I just loved bikes so much, and I didn't want to do anything else,
Bike trials is such an amazing sport to me. I was fortunate enough to watch my brother, who became a junior national champion, but he would practice every day for hours. And the neat thing about bike trials is it's like a stunt show to the regular, average non-cyclist, or even to the cyclists. Americans in other, countries love to watch bike trials. It's a show, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that really fueled that trials riding. Once people started seeing it, they wanted to see more. What was it?
Yeah.
Road Bike Party. That came out in 2012. More than 13 million views on the first video. And
Yeah.
I remember watching that in awe, because all of a sudden now it was these trials techniques on a road bike. And it's like, what? This can't be done. Where did that come from? Where did that inspiration come from?
Well, it's a weird one. Like you say, bike trials and trials in general is a show. If you don't understand the techniques and you haven't practiced them, sometimes they can be quite hard to believe. But until you learn them, and there is a very hard journey to becoming a trials rider. If you want to be a mountain biker, you can roll down a bumpy hill and say, I'm mountain biking. But if you want to be a trials rider, you've essentially got to have learned to track stand, hop on your back wheel. Else you're not really a trials rider yet, So it's very hard sport to learn. So it does take those hours to practice and get good at it, which is something I really loved. I loved going off and riding on my own and being able to just like practice all these little tricks that would make sections in a competition possible. But Road Bike Party, I guess, is an example of that, like people watching it and going, how is that even possible? But if you ride bikes a lot, a bike's a bike. There's nothing actually that special. There's nothing that remarkable about a road bike doing the same thing as any other bike. It's got two wheels, it's got handlebars, it's got brakes, and I thought it was just funny. I just did it because I thought it was very funny to take a very expensive bike and use it in that way. But I was also kind of reacting to, there was a really big video that everyone will have seen, is Danny McCaskill, who rides for Santa Cruz now, one of the most famous riders in the world. He put out a video and was one of the first people to break through on YouTube with a trials video. And it literally ignited his career. Well, at that point, I'd already had a very long career. And I kind of saw God, if I don't find a way into that platform, I'm kind of done. Like, that's where people want to be now. It's not magazines, it's not VHS videos, it's this. So I just was like, how can I come up with a concept that breaks through on there and is entertaining on that platform? So it was very much a YouTube directed idea that was fun, silly, didn't take myself too serious. I didn't want to try and pretend I was as good as Danny Mac at the time, because he was like the leading rider in terms of street riding and stuff like that. And like I said, I'd already been around 20 years at that point, and I was like, well, I want to just do my things, but in a way that's still, can be admired, in terms of like, it's not easy to do that stuff on a road bike. It was just a lot of fun. And when it went, I was as surprised as anyone when it went that mad. It was crazy.
I mean, pushing the boundaries a little bit, like bringing yourself, your authentic self into the sport, I think is so important. And a bike is a bike, it's balance, right? But still pretty amazing to watch you do that. And I'm sure it was a blast putting it together.
It really was so fun. Oh my God, right? It was fun. We laughed more. I've never laughed so much, because it is, when you think of an idea, and this is where I say I'm like, quite, once I want to do something, I really want to do it. If I thought, hey, if we could find a golf course and the right bunker, I could backflip out the bunker. And then you just start laughing like, oh, wouldn't that be so funny if I, I ride past a guy and he's just taking a putt, and then I go through the bunker and do a backflip, and that just makes you laugh. And then you're looking then all of a sudden you're looking for a bunker.
You're looking for the
and
venue.
a
You're like,
golf
let's
course.
do this. This is a great idea.
Yeah. And it was one of those situations where we literally we went onto a golf course sort of late evening. We had a little tiny kicker ramp that I'd been practicing with, and we found the right bunker. We dug it into the bunker itself, so there was a little ramp in there, but we've hidden it. And I rode through the bunker. I tried it once and crashed, but it was pretty close. And then I had another go and landed it, and we were like, yes, got it. And we picked up the ramp and started walking off the golf course. And as we were walking off the golf course, caretaker come over and said, oh, guys, don't walk on the green.
You're like, that's the least of your worries.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, see you.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, we're like,
if
you'd seen what we were just doing. Yeah, fun.
Then in 2013, you were filming Road Bike Party 2, and your life changed in a significant way. And I know you've spoken about this publicly before. Looking back, how did that moment represent a change in your identity as a rider? How did it shape what came next?
Well, it was during the filming of Road Bike Party 2, but it wasn't actually filming that. It was just in the same time frame. I was doing a live stunt show and had a kind of silly crash. It wasn't. I wish I could say it was I was trying a triple backflip, but I wasn't. I just fell off. I fell off the top of a van. I jumped up onto a van that had railings on the top of it, so I had to land in a very small space right up on top of this vehicle. I'd done it literally thousands of times,
So
and just got it wrong and made a mistake and fell awkwardly. And it was very easy to understand what had happened straight away. I knew immediately that I was paralyzed. I didn't even have it wasn't even a second of time before I was like, I knew exactly what had happened. And I started, you start processing it straight away. It's really, the human mind and the body's amazing. And you just start like, okay, what does this mean? And my son was there on the same day. He was only 13 at the time. And one of my major things was like, well, I want him to see that I'm going to be getting in an ambulance, obviously, but I want him to see I'm okay. So I got my friends to bring him over, and I was just talking to him saying, Dad's fine. I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to have to go and sort this injury out. And I didn't fill him. Didn't give him all the information I was realizing, but that was probably something I worried about most. And then they said we're going on a helicopter, and I don't really like flying, and I was like, no, I don't like that.
Like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't done this because I don't want to go on a helicopter. And it sort of, the process started from there, and then it's a very different existence. Like a life as someone with paralysis is hard. It's hard in a way that's very hard to explain. And it's just so different, so alien to what you're used to. But I mean, through my accident and through this sort of different journey that I'm on since that time, I've met so many amazing people that have just made me realize, well, there's real opportunity in every situation. You've got to try and find it and keep fighting for that. And that's what I try and do. I don't always succeed, but I try to do that now. It's just like try and find. Saying I want to find the fun in it sounds a bit trivial, but the enjoyment in there's still enjoyment in life to be had, and I want to look for that.
Yeah, and I mean, look at where you are and what you're doing. So RideAble Now, I want to talk about this. You founded this company. It's a nonprofit. Can you tell us more about the mission of the organization? Because to me, this is absolutely remarkable. I mean, we can choose to get hit and fall down, or we can choose to get hit and we just keep finding something in it, and that's what I feel like you've done. It's much bigger now.
Yeah, well, I'm really lucky in the sense that when I had my accident, because I was well known in the mountain bike scene, the cycling scene, and um, I was really well supported. You know, I had still had sponsors. I never missed a day's work. You know, I just carried on going. But that was very much because the industry really looked after me. But I was very aware at the time that other people who were going through the same injury and journey as myself, you know, that's not the common story. You know, like I was, I had times where I was like, oh man, I'm so lucky that this is happening for me. And if I thought of you know, I was still having video ideas and I was able to make them happen because
Wow.
people were like, yeah, Mark, we'll get behind you and we'll, you know, and so I was
That's
really well
wonderful.
looked after.
That's wonderful that the industry didn't just walk away, you know, that they stood by your side and continued to support. And I mean, that's remarkable in itself, you know, and that speaks to who you
Yeah.
are as a person, I think, you
Yeah.
know.
I do think though the industry walking away would have been ironic.
Sorry. That was so bad.
No, I love a pun. I love a good pun. It's great. Yeah, yeah, they just didn't. I just had so much support. I felt so looked after, and from my family and friends as well. But the industry in general was there to help me to do things, you know, which isn't everything costs money. So RideAble Now is about trying to help people who want to get into adaptive bike riding, and help them purchase bikes to do that, because the bikes are always going to be very expensive because they're very low volume and they're very specialist, and rightly so. They're fabulous bits of kit and they're going to cost money, and unfortunately not everybody who's had an injury has got that opportunity to be able to afford these bikes, that are costing in dollars $25,000 up, uh, easily. They're very expensive things, but they're life-changing bits of equipment. They for someone like myself who's a mountain biker, they can give you your life back, the one you had before, and they really can do it they're a fabulous riding experience. It's not like you know a, a bad version of riding. It's a really fabulous version of riding. But also for people who've never ridden mountain bikes or ridden bikes of any kind, um, the potential of the bikes means that they can become this incredible pair of trainers that takes them out into the wilderness. You don't have to ride mad trails at Whistler
Mm.
for the adaptive bike to be relevant. The technology has moved on because these bikes are moving in line with e-bike technology, which is obviously where all the money is being spent in the cycling industry now anyway. And they're just such transformational bits of equipment. So I felt what they can do for you. I've had that experience. I know what it would mean to not have that, because when I had my injury, they didn't exist at the level they are now.
Yeah, I
You
was
know, and
gonna ask you, so was getting an adaptive bike like one of the first things on your mind, or what was your journey actually to find your first adaptive bike?
well, to the level they're at now, and the kind of the bikes I'm talking about when I think about an adaptive bike, they didn't exist.
Okay.
I had my accident. It was only just over a decade ago, and I basically invented a new way to ride adaptive bikes. I put a sit ski seat on a normal mountain bike, so I was in like a little bucket seat,
Uh-huh.
and I had my friends just push me off the top of a mountain, and I just rolled down it,
Of course you
and
did.
we made a video out of it, and it was really successful and super fun and uplifting. But that was my solution to riding. But the thing is with that, it's still a great way to ride, by the way. But you need a bit of a crew around you. You need like two or three support riders, because you've got, when you come to a stop, you're going to fall over. So you need someone to catch you. And it's really fun because they all become part of the ride, and it's great.
It's
But
super active.
you don't have independence.
Right.
And as someone with a spinal cord injury, or anyone with a disability will know, like, independence is really important. And the new modern adaptive bikes that came along about 4 or 5 years later, the most famous brand being Bowhead, which is a Canadian brand, which is what the bike a lot of people would see now if they went on the internet and searched adaptive mountain biking. A Bowhead is what they would see. And it's a three-wheeled bike, but it's got articulation, so you can lean into the corners. It's a very flowy feeling ride, much more bike-like than riding in a little like solid trolley, which was probably, what they would have done 20 years ago if someone was going mountain biking on an adaptive bike. And these modern bikes, they're utilizing modern e-bike motors, which means the performance and the batteries are incredible. And it can really just take you somewhere you can't go. And when I first got onto a Bowhead, I'd sort of already been adaptive mountain bike riding, and I'd been to Whistler and ridden and done all these things. But I got on the Bowhead and I was like, oh, well, that anyone could do that. If you can sit down, you can ride that bike. It's that simple and it's that good. But it's capable of riding A-line at Whistler. So it's capable of taking a dog walk, or it can go down A-line at Whistler. It's that broad. And that's an incredible product. That's an amazing
incredible machine.
Yeah. And I just love it. And there's all sorts of other brands as well. It's not just that one brand, but that's certainly the leading and frontier pushing brand that is making everyone else have to catch up, which makes the space quite exciting.
Yeah, I was at Killington in Vermont last summer, and there's a Vermont Adaptive organization, and there was some riders sharing the chairlift with me, and I was able to have a conversation. This gentleman slipped on grass, and that's all it took, and had an accident. And he wasn't a cyclist, but now he's found joy in his life because of adaptive cycling.
Yeah.
And I saw these bikes, these machines, they're incredible. The suspension on them, the technology has come a long way. But he was explaining, this bike he was using was donated to him for that day. It wasn't his, and he couldn't afford it. Was, they're very pricey. So I want to get back into just RideAble, because what you're doing is helping people, I think, have access to these bikes. But the mission is really ride, thrive, and transform. Can you talk a little just more about that for me?
Well, yeah, the ride part of it is just as it sounds, it's the collective that we all do. We all ride, no matter what bikes we're on. It's very much about the community. So the tagline of ride is us. It's what we all do, whether we're adaptive riders or not. The thrive is, the result of riding, isn't it? Is that really it's what gives us all our physical exercise, but our mental space to think and to be out in green space and into the wilderness and truly thrive. And then the transform is, I guess, is the bit that cuts back to the adaptive side of things, is that the transformation that a bicycle can bring to anybody. I don't know if, many people out there will remember Steve Jobs referring to the computer as the bicycle for the mind. Well, if you think about what he's referring to there, is that when the bicycle was invented, it was this thing that made a human more physically efficient than anything else on the planet. Through a bicycle, even the one that didn't have pedals, the original balance bike that they kicked along, it meant a human, because they could use this tool, could go way further than anything else without running out of fuel. And that's what happens when you put someone, we're back to that point with adaptive riding. When you put someone who's got a wheelchair into an adaptive bike, they just became, from their world they were in, superhuman. They are now capable of doing things that were 10 years ago were unthinkable. They could climb up a mountain with no one helping them. Just make the decision to go and do it themselves. They can climb up a mountain easily with enjoyment. And that's unreal.
So
yeah, unreal. True freedom. And that's so inspiring, and I think that's that's what transform means to me, is it turns this it turns this regular human into someone who can do something really, really amazing and really special. And I love that it's the bicycle industry that's found that solution. It's great, because that's the community that I love, the cycling industry. And I think that it solved something that's way bigger than cycling, which is great.
It is. Yeah. So the Access Fund. So we need more, we need our listeners, we need everyone to get on board and support the Access Fund, because the
Yes,
Access
please.
Fund is what is going to help you make these bikes more accessible to more people. So
Yeah.
we'll share the link to your website in the show notes, but can you tell us about why everyone should join the Access Fund today to help support this mission?
Yeah, well, the way RideAble Now works is that I really had to find a way of connecting able-bodied riders to adaptive riders, or for able-bodied riders to really take time to look at the adaptive scene. And you can do that through making content, which is what we do at RideAble Now as well. We definitely are a media hub for, adaptive riding and adaptive stories and podcasts. But what we want is for able-bodied riders to enjoy that space too, and know that they're helping. So we ask people to join RideAble Now, and it's £5 a month, which would be just under $7 a month, I guess.
Less than coffee.
Yeah, less than coffee. That I've always, in my head, I always price it as what's a coffee? Like, if you could give me a coffee a month, I can do some really good stuff with it. So the idea is you pay that membership per month, and that money creates the Access Fund. So all of our sponsors that we've got on RideAble Now, they cover the running costs, the making videos, the traveling to events, and all the stuff that you need to do to be a thing. And the Access Fund is built from the money people give us. But like I said, I wanted the adaptive world to get, the Access Fund, but I want the able-bodied world to enjoy RideAble Now. So when you join RideAble Now, you're entered into monthly prize draws, and we give away every single month. We give away an amazing bundle of MTB kit. Like, I think last month's bundle was £3,000 worth of mountain bike kit, and then every other month we give away a £10,000 mountain bike.
What?
So yeah, so I've gamified it. So if you join up, you're supporting adaptive riders. That Access Fund helps me give grants to people who are trying to buy bikes, who want these adaptive bikes to change their lives. But you could also win something really amazing, and I want people who are, not adaptive riders, just normal bike riders, to be able to enjoy the space and know that they're doing a great thing. And I feel like £5 a month doesn't sound like much, but for someone to give us that every month, that's a big deal, and I want to be able to give them something back for that. So the thought of winning something cool is my way of doing it. There's also discount codes, and as well as part of the membership. So if you use the discount codes cleverly, you can actually get your £5 a month back quite easily. So it's a fun little system, a little ecosystem that's created an Access Fund that is already giving back and looking after adaptive riders. So it's going really well.
And Martyn, what if you are a rider who is in need of assistance to buy a bike? Can you apply on your website, or how would someone let you know, hey, Martyn, I need your help here? Or can you please consider?
Yeah, well, there's two ways that you can go onto rideablenow.com. On the homepage, at the bottom of the page, you can just click a button to apply for a grant from the Access Fund. And you just fill out a form, and then the communication begins, and we try and basically what we try and do is give out grants to people who are on the journey towards a bike already, because it's quite hard to prescribe the bike that someone needs, because there's lots of reasons for different disabilities to have certain types of bikes. So it really helps if the person knows what bike they're after and why, and how much it's going to cost, and how much money they already have. So there's questions like that in the application that help us get to the point. But most importantly, the best thing you can do is, if you're unsure, email me. It's Martyn Ashton, one word, and it's Martyn with a Y, at rideablenow.com, and we'll just start talking about it. It's like it's as simple as that. And then what we try and do is, and we've just done our first funding round in April.
Oh, wow.
So we started in January. In April, we did our first funding round, and we are now supporting 9 adaptive riders on their journey to an adaptive bike. Unfortunately, we can't afford to just buy bikes entirely at the moment. But what we do is we give a grant to a prospective adaptive rider, but we also allow them to continue applying for grants as they go forward. So we don't give them a small grant and then say, oh, good luck getting your bike. It's like, there's your first grant. If you haven't got your bike by the next grant funding pot, let's top it up. And we get them to the bike. And if it takes 20 rounds of investment to get them to the bike, then that's what we'll do, because the thought of a bike in the future is also a very powerful thing. And the thought of never having a bike is a very powerful thing in the wrong direction, So what you want, I think, is for people to know that they can get there. They're going to get that bike and it's in their future, because that starts them thinking differently today, not in, 12 months when they've crowdfunded and been to every single foundation in the world trying to find funds. And there are other great foundations other than us as well. High Five Foundation springs to mind, Kelly Brush Foundation. There's lots of other ones that are brilliant, and people should apply to them too. So it's not just us. It's a great thing when we can help people like that.
Yeah. Hey, listeners, we have to get on board. We should all join. This is not a lot of money, and we can transform someone's life. And Martyn, I was noticing that you do have a lot of brand support, and I know we have a lot of sales reps listening to our podcast. We have a lot of brands and individuals who work for brands listening. How can brands get involved? Because I know you do rely heavily on brand support as well.
Yeah, well, brand support's really important, because, like I said, it's the brand support is what helps us do things and get the message out there. And we live in the world of content is king, right? So what I like to do with brands is that rather than ask them to come and make a donation towards RideAble Now, it's like, let's have a discussion where you come to RideAble Now and we make some content for you. We make something that tells your brand story through the lens of my riding or adaptive riding or somewhere I'm going. And then we've got a genuine relationship, but just through that relationship and trying to do absolutely justifiably promote your brand, you are supporting adaptive riding. Because what we need to do is let people see it, because when mountain bikers know it exists, but lots of people who have got disabilities have got no idea that there's a thing that exists that could take them up Whistler Mountain. They just don't understand that, because they're not seeing that in their social media feed all the time. Mm-hmm. So the more we can get it out there, the more content we can make about it, the more people see it and the more people will benefit from it. And hopefully we can support them along the way. So brands can, come to us for, and we'll come up with some ideas to make something that's really fun, focuses on their product and their brand, and they're doing a great thing by doing that, and that's what we hope to do.
I think more content out there, more people seeing it. As I was sharing my experience at Killington, I had never been that close to the bikes before, or even, talked to a rider who shared his story. And that day transformed me. And I started talking to more retailers about, do you sell adaptive bikes? Have you thought about it? If you're not, what's holding you back? And it seems to be there's some retailers who are all into selling adaptive, and there's other retailers who are like, I don't even know where I would get started. What does adaptive even mean? It's the full gamut. So Martyn, just on the retail side of things, your just thoughts, if a retailer wants to get into adaptive, where would they start? What any thoughts there?
I got tons, actually.
Oh, you do? Okay. I was like, I don't know if this is okay.
Yeah, I do, because I feel like this is where anyone who's a bike retailer out there, by default, you're going to love bikes, right? So I feel like the first place to start would be to have a go on one. That would be the place to start.
To actually ride one, just like you would an e-bike.
Actually ride one, yeah. Which isn't necessarily as easy as it sounds to do, because you've got to find somewhere where you can go and have a go on one. But if you can find a demo day or something that's sort of relatively close to you and you could try it, that would be the thing I'd say to start with, because they're amazing. They're not, oh, they're good for people with a disability. They're amazing, right? Everyone who has a Garmin goes, oh my God, that was insane. So that sparks the enthusiasm for it, I think. So to have a go on one would be a great thing to do. The next thing I'd say is to not be scared of them. Most of them are built up of mountain bike parts.
Right.
Like, you know these parts. It's the suspension, it's the brakes, it's the tires, it's the wheels, you understand. It's pretty much all the same. And the bits that aren't bicycle, like, have been made bespoke, they're very simple and easy to understand. So I would say not be scared of them, because you are already an expert in these bikes. They're by default bikes. So it's not, there's no big mystery. And I think what I've always noticed, if you have an adaptive bike anywhere, they are like a magnet for customers. Whether they need adaptive bikes or not, they are a thing that's going to be in your shop. They're going to make people go, what's that? Or oh, tell me about this thing. God, I've never seen a bike like that before. And it becomes, you see it at events all the time. If you're there with an adaptive bike, it becomes like a magnet in the space you're in to bring customers in. So I would say getting the loan of a bike to showcase in your store if you don't want to buy one. Brands out there do like loan out bikes for periods of time so they can be in a showroom. They're a really great thing to have in there and make your store an interesting place to go beyond what it is already. And so I would say that about them too. They're really great. And I think when people look, where you've had that experience where you rode with these people and you'd never seen the bikes before, when you see them, they're amazing bits. They're amazing bits of engineering. They really are fabulous, and they're solving such a difficult problem. But some really clever people have done some amazing, they've put their thought into it, and they've done some amazing work to create something really incredible. And if you like bikes, you'll like them. You'll think, wow, that's great. But I definitely recommend to go on one too. I've taken out some very good riders, like pro riders on these bikes, and they have had, I've had one, Sam Pilgrim is a very well-known mountain biker in the UK. I don't know, he's probably well-known in the US as well.
I don't know. I'm not,
He's a YouTube guy.
Okay.
And he still says it's one of the best days he's ever had on bikes.
All right.
He's ridden a lot of bikes.
We all need to have a go. We all need to try these out. So
try one out. And
good tip.
Yeah, they're fun.
And even if you don't think you have the customer now for adaptive, you bring one into the store, you start talking, and next thing you know, the customers start coming. But there are probably certain questions that we need to be skilled to make sure we're getting the right solution for the rider, right? So so where would a retailer go for that type of training, Martyn? Any thoughts there? Is there?
I don't think it's for the retailer to be trained up in that space. I mean, if you were selling a bike to someone with an adaptive need, the person who's buying the bike needs to know what they're buying. It's for them to understand whether that's the right bike for them or not, to a certain degree. It becomes more complicated if you're talking about someone with like a head injury or something like that, who's obviously needs assistance riding in a different way, but they would almost certainly have support riders or support people to help them do that. I think what I would say, the best thing I've heard someone say to me, it was a registrar at a hospital. The best answer for almost anything like this is, I don't know. Let's find out. It's like, I don't know. But if you've got one of those, what I would say about an adaptive bike is, if you had an adaptive bike in your store, the person who needs that bike will turn up for sure. Because you only need one person, and unfortunately there's a lot of people who need these bikes and who can benefit from them. So that one bike is going. it ain't going to stick around. And someone coming in and saying, is this the right bike for me? The best answer is, I don't know. Would you like to sit in it? Shall we see? What kind of difficulties do you have? Just be really honest and open, because there's no wrong questions or answers. It's just honesty is
it's like
the
the
best thing
same
to do.
process as like
Yeah,
someone comes in looking for a bike for the first time. They don't know if they want a road
absolutely.
bike, a gravel bike, or mountain bike.
Yeah, it's the same. Is treat that person like the customer, but yeah, don't pretend to know, because you can't you can't know, because I wouldn't know. If someone said to me, is this the right bike for me, I'd have to have a pretty good conversation with them to really understand whether it was or not. Yeah, so and the moment that you get to a point where you're like, I don't know the answer to that, the people who've built that bike, whether it's a Bowhead or any other brand, they will know. So it would be ask them, and just have an open conversation between you, the customer, and the brand that made it, because there's no way that the people who've built that bike, I'm thinking of the people I know at Bowhead, they are unbelievably skilled experts in why you would or wouldn't need that bike, and all they want to do is help you get on the bike that's the right thing for you. And there are various types of bikes, so it is something that you need to become knowledgeable about as a customer, but not necessarily as the retailer, because you just can't know who that person's going to be and what their needs are going to be. So you just got to be really open with it. And the moment you've got that bike there, you have given them the inspiration to ask that question. So you're doing an amazing thing, because whether they buy that bike or they get you to get them a different bike, you've got them on the journey to riding bikes, and that's an incredible thing.
Yeah. Martyn, I want to talk about accessibility a little bit, because I know you're creating some great content. You talked about Whistler. I've seen the trails, downhill trails. We've seen the Bentonville trails, accessibility. So there seems to be a lot more accessibility becoming available as the industry takes notice that, hey, we have this rider group that needs to make sure we can get them on the trails too. Is that what you're seeing? And am I saying that correctly? And what can we do as an industry to support more accessibility?
Yeah, I would say, sorry, I just realized I've got my car keys in my pocket and my wife needs them. Hang on a second. Sorry about that little interlude. Yeah, I would say my experience so far has just been like everyone wanting to help give, riders access. And I think as well, I think this is something that gets overlooked a little bit, is that access is happening through mountain biking by default, because an adaptive bike starts at e-bike. It's not three-wheeled bike. E-bikes are an incredible adaptive bike. They've turned the the age range of mountain biking has gone over. And it's funny with balance bikes as well, talking about Bentonville, like kind of like the original home of balance bikes, isn't it? I would say that, when I started mountain biking, the age range was 16 to 35.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
And now it's 2 years old to 90, because you can start riding a mountain bike-esque balance bike right when you're born.
Mm-hmm.
And because of e-bikes, you never have to stop. And at the end of the day, we all become an adaptive rider of some sorts at some point. So
really good point, Martyn. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, age does that to all of us. And so access is happening anyway.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like riding the sort of more obvious adaptive bikes, like three-wheeled bikes, four-wheeled bikes, there is a bit of requirement for some trails to be slightly wider. But I think if you're riding greens and blues, you're in pretty good. You've got a pretty wide range of trails, and usually, in my experience, greens and blues are enough for everyone.
Yeah.
The reds and blacks and stuff are for a smaller amount of people, but the greens and blues is where we can all have fun. And in the UK, for instance, when a green or a blue is made from scratch, it has to be adaptive ready. So they have to think about, the berms and the trail size and things like that. So I feel like that is something that could be adopted very easily globally. Just if you're making a green or a blue, it has to fit an adaptive bike, else you can't call it a green or a blue. And that would mean everyone's got bike trails to ride.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good approach to it. But I've seen many, I mean, globally, I have seen so many initiatives to try and make trail access better and access in general at bike parks better. I did think when I was first starting RideAble Now, that was a part of the kind of space I was going to really go for. Is like, well, I'm going to make every trail accessible naively, because I looked into it and I was like, actually, there's like 20,000 people already doing this. Like, it doesn't need me. I need to focus on helping people get the bikes. The trail builders are doing it already.
So you started RideAble officially in January. In April, you've awarded 9 grants. That must feel incredible, huh? It must feel really good.
Yeah, it does. It feels brilliant. And yeah, it's nice building the relationship with those riders. We've had more applications than that, of course, but some riders we're sort of more helping, rather than giving a grant, we're helping them on the journey to like finding the right bike or showing them which direction to go. Some people coming in cold, they just don't know what they're looking for, but they've applied, and you know, all power to them, and we're going to help them if they can find the right bike, help them try and get it. Obviously we can only do what we can do with the funds we've got, so the more people that can support it, the better, because we just want to help get people out on the bike. So, you know, it's a really rewarding thing. Along with the grants, we're also sponsoring a few places. This is mainly in the UK, though, I'd say at the moment. We're paying for experience days at a couple of places that do one-to-one coaching. So if someone wants to try adaptive riding, they can go to a place in the UK. There's 2 locations, and they can basically go and have 2-3 hour riding experience on a few different adaptive bikes, so that they can get the experience and try and decide which bike they'd like to go towards. Because that initial having a go moment is quite hard to get set up in someone's life with a disability. And like I said, the range, the word disability is such a spectrum of, like, from the person who just, you know, needs the assistance of an e-bike to someone who needs a chin operated 4-wheel quad. You know, it's a massive range, but I've seen, literally from that whole spectrum, I've seen someone doing it in some shape or form, literally to the point where someone's riding steering with their chin. It's incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely mad.
The human body is incredible. And
the human mind, the people I've seen doing that, I mean, they're just like this strength of character to be like, no, I'm going mountain biking. I'm gonna do it with my chin if I have to. It's pretty inspiring.
Strength of character too. I mean, your son is in his 20s now. He must be pretty proud of his dad, seeing what you've accomplished and continue to do.
I think he thinks of his dad like all sons do. He's like, I'm not very trendy. I'm not very cool. We've got a great relationship. He's a good lad. He's very into golf at the moment. He's not a mountain biker at the moment. He loves his golf. That's what he's playing at the moment.
So listeners, we need more support for RideAble Now, so we can, you know, continue to support the work that Martyn is doing, continue to support riders in their journey. So we will link in the show notes. Martyn, just any other things that we can do as an industry to support you. I know you might be coming over to Whistler, to Crankworks, so hopefully we'll see you there. Maybe like, subscribe, follow your channel, share if we, you know, share with other people.
Please do. Yeah, come and check out what we're doing on social media. We're RideAble Now on Instagram and Facebook. RideAble Now. Actually, the YouTube channel is actually my original YouTube channel where I had Road Bike Party. I just changed the logo, but it's that was not that was because I had more subscribers on my channel than I could probably. Having Road Bike Party meant I got a lot of subscribers, which I thought I'd utilize rather than let go to waste. So yeah, you can follow us on there. But we do, for the bikes we give away as the competition prizes. They are basically, we film the build of that bike. We put those videos up on YouTube, so you can indulge in the bike being built in a long form video that's very very easy watching, and then dream of winning that bike at the end of the month. June, we're in June, so it's a Trek Rail this month that you can win at the end of the month, and it's a £12,000 e-bike. So join up now, and it could be yours.
It keeps people engaged. It keeps people like, tuned into what you're doing. So you did share your contact earlier. If people have questions, if brands want to reach out for support, where do they go? We've got the website linked. Is there any other contact you want to share?
Yeah, like you said, the website link, rideablenow.com, and honestly, any brand, but any person, my email, it's my only email, it's martynashton@rideablenow.com. Email me.
Yeah,
I'll email you back. It's as simple as that. There's no big industry this end. It's me and a few people who are supporting.
Well, I'm super thankful that we were able to catch up. I'm really excited to see where RideAble is going to go. Congratulations on already transforming 9 people's lives and the countless more that I'm sure you're helping. And hopefully I'll see you up in Canada in July.
Yeah, hope so. See you in Whistler.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending time with us on Bicycle Retail Radio. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe and share it with another retailer who could use the insight. Join us every week for new conversations and fresh perspectives to keep you ahead of the curve. The NBDA is constantly creating events, webinars, and resources built specifically for bicycle retailers. Check out what's coming up at nbda.com. Shout out to Francis Abbott for today's graphics. Interested in sponsoring an episode or know someone we should talk to? Head to nbda.com. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.